Hello there, it's Sandy again from Talk of Thailand. This video is about my retirement here in Pattaya in Thailand, and I've now been retired for coming up to 6 years, and many people have asked me, many people that worked with me in the past have asked me how I find it, and it's been different. And the experience of retiring and then also retiring here in Thailand has been a lesson, and I'd like to share some of that with you now. If you're interested, please keep watching, and I hope you'll find this interesting. Thank you for joining me. So, my retirement, I actually retired here about 6 years ago now, coming up for 6 years anyway, and my last job was in Holland and Rotterdam, doing a major oil rig upgrade, and then I came here and realised that with the turn down in the oil industry and the whole turn down in the world's economy actually, that I was lucky. I was very lucky, because I was of retirement age and I could bow out gracefully, so to speak, where a lot of people I worked for, much younger than myself, worked with also, were much younger than myself. They had young families, they had mortgages, etc. And my last job, actually, I remember sitting in an office in Aberdeen for this major oil company, and I was a contract worker. I had my own business, and I was there as a contractor, and I was sitting in one of their main offices planning this upgrade to this oil rig, and I was watching these permanent staff getting called into an office 2 or 3 a day and being paid off, and some of them were when they came out and they learned that was it, they'd lost a job, and they knew how hard it was going to be getting employed somewhere else. To them it was a disaster, absolute disastrous news. And I thought, oh my God, I think I met some resentment as well, because a lot of them were asking why they were heading for the door, and the company was still employing a contractor like myself at a very much higher daily rate than they would be getting. But of course, the reason for that was several reasons for that was my experience, and the knowledge of the job, and also, of course, that there was no other overheads except for my daily cost, and they could terminate my contract virtually at the drop of a hat. So I think we'd gone, when they decided to make these cuts, we'd gone far enough into the contract to ensure that the people working on this project, most of us were secure, but many weren't, and they were paid off. So anyway, I'd done the job in Rotterdam, and then I came out here. And then retirement, yes, I had a fair bit of savings at that time. I qualified for my UK old age pension. So I bought a house here. I paid for that cash. So going to be living here should be quite easy within my budget. I bought a motorbike, I bought a pickup, I bought my wife a motorbike. So we were with the house and the transport, etc. We were sort of well shoed to carry on into the retirement. The big problem, of course, is what if you've been used to working all the time, what are you going to do with all this time off? And I knew that was a concern, and I had made a plan of some of the things I wanted to do in retirement. Some of them was travel, although I've done a lot of traveling all my life, so it's not really top of my priority list. I wanted to write a book. All my life I've wanted to write some fiction, actually. I've had some good ideas along the way. I think they're good ideas. and I actually wanted to start penning them to paper. And when I retired, I actually started, and that's 6 years ago. And I think I'm about halfway through that book. I go on it and off it and on it and off it. And another reason for that is that I get caught up in other factors of life. For instance, my wife is considerably younger than me. Those that have watched the videos, you see that. And here in Thailand, there is no social security system or any significant financial support for non-government workers, the majority of the country. So she's very much reliant on me for her survival. And she's had a priority for some time to get herself a job, and I can understand that. And she wanted to have her own earnings rather than have to depend on me hand and foot to feed her some money, etc., and to take care of all the bills that are coming in. And you know, good on her. She has looked for several jobs, and at one stage I thought, okay, I know I needed to help her somehow, try to guide her along the right road. She comes from a farming background, growing rice up in Isan, and the education standards are not high. She's a clever lady, but without the basic education it's not easy. So I wanted to try and guide her into either the right job or maybe get the right business organization for her. Well, I have to admit that once I bought my pickup truck here, most of the driving has been done by my wife, who was a pretty novice driver when we bought the pickup truck, but she really put her heart into it, and she enjoyed it. She got a driving license, and she's driven the truck about at least 80% of the time we've been out on the road. And she's a good driver. So that brought to mind the fact that we had a young child. Sandra came along, my daughter. She's nearly 5 now. I thought taxi driving, that would probably be an ideal vocation for her, because she can go out when she's got time, and when she doesn't want to go out, when she needs to be here, she doesn't have to go out. So we talked about it, and at that time we had there was a company, well-known company. They were doing private taxi businesses here. Uber, that was it. She inquired to Uber, and as long as she had a car that was within a certain age and she had a driving license, and Uber were prepared to put her on the books, so to speak. So that's what we attempted to do. I bought another car, a Mazda CX-5, about a year old, I think. Cost a fair bit of money, but it was a quality car, and she had her driving license, so she registered with Uber, and it started going. It was starting to go okay, actually. Slow but sure, and it did work out well. She could go out and work the hours that she wanted. Uber was a good company to work for, better than other companies, I'll put it that way. And she was out working on the taxi, whilst I was staying at home and writing my book or going to play golf. These sort of things, a little bit socializing. But then things started to change, and it was going up in the fact that she was getting private bookings outside Uber, so it means that she didn't have to pay a commission to Uber for the taxi rides, and a lot of people that I knew that were going up and down to Bangkok airport would ask her to take them up and pick them up and bring them back, and there was good money in that, actually, reasonable money for Thailand anyway. And if you can call 100 kilometre, which is say 90-mile trip at a cost of approximately £30, 35 US dollars or something like that. It's not expensive as far as the European standards are concerned, but they still managed to make a good buck out of that, because the fuel for the car was a lot cheaper, etc. So that was going okay. But then a major problem transpired. The Uber sold out to a company called Grab. Now Grab by name, Grab by nature, that's what I'd say. They wanted to take over Uber, they did. They wanted to take over the drivers, but the only problem was that they changed the whole terms of reference. They had a higher commission rate. They didn't, before, when my wife drove to the airport for Uber, they refunded the toll costs on the motorways, etc., which made a difference, a couple of hundred bahts. But Grab refused to do that. If there was a problem with we had some problems with police, because the local taxi drivers were trying to keep Uber out. If my wife got stopped and fined by the police, which could be 30 quid or something like that, 20,000 bahts, Uber would actually refund that to her. So Uber were excellent. They were really trying to build the business up here in Thailand. And then they sold out to this Grab, of course, and Grab would have nothing to do with that at all. So all of a sudden the earnings dropped considerably, down, I don't know, 60-70%. And she just lost heart in going out. Then there was no point sitting out in the road, out in the town for hours and hours and hours to make peanuts. If it was peanuts that she was making. So in the end, we decided to call the taxi thing a day. Although she was still getting the odd runs up and down to Bangkok airport for people we knew, and that was paying okay. The other times it was virtually pointless going out there. We weren't even covering the cost of the car. So we called it a day, and that was the end of the first business venture. And we then had to decide where we were going to go next. And we sat down and we talked about it, and we came up with one or two ideas. And she had ideas as well, and we thought about the different aspects, and we give it a rest for a while anyway, and we forgot about it, and went back into happy retirement again with my wife here. And she would do the school runs. I didn't have to go and get Sandra from school anymore, etc., or take her to school. So that's how it was. So that's the introduction to my retirement here in Pattaya, and how it's gone so far. And that was the way I'd aimed to get it out and have a happy life here. I've got a nice house. I've got some dogs, and I've got my parrot here. We enjoy a family life. We enjoy a good family life. So I'm going to leave that video just here now, but I'll continue the story, because there's a few other twists and turns to the retirement that may be of interest. So thank you for watching, and if you like the video, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, make any comments, and I hope I'll see you again. In the meantime, stay safe, take care. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.